How's it going, everyone? My name is Colin Ross, and today I'm showing you how to pull someone into another world in Adobe After Effects. Let's jump in. Wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be. Alrighty, now that we're in After Effects, I'm going to be showing you what you can accomplish with this tutorial. I'm not going to be showing you how specifically to accomplish this shot because it was super complex and it'd be like an hour-long tutorial. So I thought I'd keep it short, and if enough people requested and wanted a tutorial on how to do this shot, I'd do it. But here's the effect you should be able to accomplish with this tutorial. This is from Amir Zachary's new POV edit. A lot of you people are probably coming from there. So it's showing you how to pull someone through into another world. I'll just show it to you again. So that's what we're going to be learning today. First, we're obviously going to drag our footage into a new composition. One of the things when you're filming something for this, you want to use, at least for the shot where you're pulling someone through, you want to use as wide of a lens as possible to give it like that first person effect. So in this shot you can see, so obviously here we have Hannah reaching through, which for people that are coming from Amir Zachary's new POV edit, it was like a combination of this shot. So this hand of Amir is what is going to go on top of our footage. And the footage that we're going to be using today is some green screen footage. So for the next part of shooting, and what would have made that other tutorial so complex, is we didn't have a green screen or anything green on the day of, so I had to hand roto everything. But this will make it a lot easier to visualize, and it'll kind of give you some ideas that if you use a green screen, it'll be easier. It doesn't have to be done with a green screen or something green. Obviously, it's not a green screen, but it makes it a lot easier. So let's just go ahead and dive into the tutorial. Sorry for all my rambling. First thing you're going to want to do is key out the green from your clip. So this is where you would do your roto if you didn't use a green screen. And then I'm just going to click right here, change some basic settings. So that right there is looking good. It's not perfect, but for the purpose of this tutorial, it'll be good enough. Obviously, you want your footage where you're holding the green piece of paper or whatever to be on top, and then when you key out, it reveals through to the layer beneath where Hannah is right here. So this really isn't as complex as it looks. I kind of found a good way to do it that isn't super difficult as long as you plan it right. When you're shooting the part of the reach through, what you want to do, and this shot isn't going to make sense because the hand's going to come reaching from the same position because I didn't really plan it very well. But so if you preview this, you can see she reaches through and pulls, and obviously nothing is happening yet. So what are we going to do to take this to the next level and get it to look like she's reaching through and pulling to the next world? And the answer is a lot of roto, which sucks. But for those of you who don't know, rotoing basically is taking the layer. I'll show you. So basically, duplicate your footage layer underneath, and then drag that up on top. And then obviously it's going to look like everything is above. And then frame by frame, you have to draw a mask around what is reaching through. So start the mask there, hit M on your keyboard, open up the mask properties, hit mask path so that the keyframes are changed, and then you basically have to go through, and this isn't how I would roto it, but I'm going to give you a rough idea, and you move the mask so that her hand is coming on top of the footage below. So see there, I'm not going to do a great roto because I already did this to save you time, and a lot of you who are watching this probably know what rotoing is, and you know how much it sucks. So I wasn't going to sit here and do that on tutorial. That would just be a complete tutorial by itself. So you have to roto her hand completely so that it reaches through, and then obviously when his hand is coming through, you also have to roto his hand. And that's just done with the masking tool. Just draw a basic mask here so you can tell. Then you have to roto out. You have to roto out his hand because his hand isn't coming from the scene with that footage. Because his hand is obviously coming from the same scene so that he can actually grab onto her and she can pull him through. So you have to do some more roto and basically connect it. But I already have this roto done. This isn't a roto tutorial, so if you need any tutorials on that, I'll link some in the description. It's basically taking the footage and you have to overlay it on top of the other clip. So I've already done this roto to save you and me some time. Obviously I did it for the shot in the final POV edit. So let's just hop into a composition with this already rotoed out. Alright, now that we're in the other composition, you can kind of see how time consuming roto is. You can see how precise the mask detail is. So that's basically how you make the hand look like it's coming on top of the other frame. You have to deal with some lighting changes because the lighting from this day is obviously different from inside my house. But you know, you can just kind of do that with some basic curves. Just do some basic adjustments. You can make it look a little better. You can't change a whole lot, but you can improve it a little bit just so it's not super distracting. Obviously, when you're pulling someone into another world, people aren't really looking at the lighting very much, but it can be distracting if it's super off, if it's like nighttime versus daytime. So just try to match around the same and you shouldn't have any issues. But anyways, so that's the roto job. The next step is obviously scaling the layers to make it look like a 3D movement is going on. So to do that, I'm going to create a couple different null objects. I'm going to parent the outside footage layer to null number 9, and then parent both the roto and the layer underneath the roto to null 10. So null 10 will just scale up very slightly as she starts to pull through. Start the scale right as she starts to pull. Hit the scale keyframe on null number 10, and then over the course of the pull, just scale ever so slightly just to create a little parallax. So then the next step is to scale up the null 9, the one that the middle footage is parented to. And you know, you obviously have to scale this up to the point where it reveals. Also, maybe you want to change the position just a little bit. Scale up a little more. So you actually just have to scale up to the point where the alpha of the green screen layer zooms through. So that right there is looking pretty solid. But a couple other things you can do to make it look even better is obviously add motion blur. Make sure that motion blur is blue in your composition, and then add a little motion blur for all the layers. So then, you know, when you pull through, it's going to take a little longer to render, but you get some natural blur so it doesn't look so sharp. So that'll make it look quite a bit better. And another thing you can do is add a border to the layer to make it look a little more natural, not just look like a flat picture. So what you can do is go over into your effects and presets, type in matte, and then pull over the matte choker and put it on the green screen layer, and then change choke 1 to like -50, and then bring up the geometric softness a little bit. You know, just play around and you'll find out, you'll kind of just figure it out naturally, and that makes it look less of like a flat picture. So if you're trying to do like a picture in a frame, that's how you would kind of do that. For me, I don't really care, so I'm just going to leave it. Another thing you can do to add a little bit more realness and pop is to add a little CC lens. And you can do this to both layers. So I'm going to do this to the footage underneath, and obviously that looks super wacky, but drag up the size and set a keyframe for the size. And then, you know, just right around when you get pulled through, this will just add a little bit of distortion. Just kind of stylizes it a little bit. Go a few frames forward, set it back to 500. So that just adds a little stylization of like the pull through effect. You know, it looks a little cheesy. Maybe slide back the first keyframe a little bit. It's all about dialing in the effect that you want to create. If you don't like that, you know, don't do it. You know, then you can just copy and paste these keyframes, copy and paste it over to the footage on the outside. And then obviously the first keyframe you want to change back to 500 because it's more affected around the edges for the hand layer. And then, so then when you preview that adds a little bit to the effect because it kind of warps. Maybe slide this keyframe a little. So then, you know, that creates a little warp on the outside layer. You know, it creates more of a lens, and then, you know, you can make it more dramatic if you want. It's all kind of dependent on what you want to make it look like. So that adds a little bit more distortion, and I mean, that's basically the final effect. I'm hoping I covered this well enough. This was not a beginner tutorial. It was kind of a quick tutorial for people who wanted to see a more intense breakdown. But if you want a more in-depth tutorial, definitely comment down below and request it. I can go more carefully through the steps. This was more for an advanced After Effects user. But if you enjoyed this tutorial, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be doing more tutorials in the future for travel video effects and things like this. And I'm also going to be working more with Amir in the future as well on POV edits, and we have some awesome stuff lined up. So subscribe if you enjoyed this content. I'm going to be making more tutorials, more vlogs in the future. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.